The truth is, you will never win in life by being someone you are not. You cannot ever live the life of your dreams by settling for someone else's idea of what you should be doing with your life. You will never ever be happy if you change who you are to fit in with others. Until you accept and embrace who you are destined to live a life that only a mere fraction of your potential. And it's simply impossible to be genuinely happy when you are not genuinely yourself. You must be yourself if you want to experience your true purpose in life. If you are different, be different. Be different and do it with pride. If someone doesn't like it, if many people don't like it, who cares? Those are not the people for you. There is better. The right people will show up when the real you comes out. There will always be someone prettier. There will always be someone smarter, stronger, richer, younger, but there will never be another you. Kurt Cobain once said, "I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not." The truth is, you will never be hated by the right people for being real. Being real, being yourself, is the greatest filter you could ever use. It instantly filters out all the people that don't belong with you. And at the same time, it reveals those who do. Bob Marley would say, the only problem is people are being hated when they are real and loved when they are faking. It's true, but what is missed here is one very important fact. The people that are hating people for being real or fake people and the people that are loving fake people are the same fake people. Real recognizes real. Who do you want to attract? Fake people or real people? Be yourself, and I promise you eventually you will attract the right people. Be yourself, no matter what has happened to you, no matter who has hurt you, no matter what you believe. Be yourself and be kind to others. If you do that, life will turn out far greater than you ever thought possible. If you don't, life will be painful because living a life with a mask on, you can't see. Living the life trying to fit in, you will never be complete. Living a life trying to be someone else so other people will like you. You might fit in on the outside, but inside, you'll never be complete. You'll never be happy. Repeat to yourself every day, I am different. That is why I win. I am unique. And that is why I am great. I'm not like anyone else on this planet. I am grateful for who I am becoming. I am grateful for who I am. I am committed to be myself and speak my truth at all times. And I know that is the only time the right people will show up in my life. Those who are meant for me will love, support, and be real with the real me. I'm done with fake people, and that includes a fake version of me. I will stand tall and stand strong in my purpose and everything that matters to me. I'm different. That is why I win. I am me. That is why I win. I am different. Different with pride. If you're different, be different. Be different with pride. Why is this journey so crucial? Because, my friends, in this wild and wonderful world we live in, there's one person you'll be spending every single moment with from the day you are born until the day you die. That person is you. And yet, how many of us can honestly say we know ourselves as well as we should? You see, knowing yourself is not just some lofty philosophical idea. It's the foundation of everything you'll ever achieve in life. It's the key to unlocking your potential, to finding true happiness, and to making a real difference in this world. When you know yourself better than anyone else, you become unstoppable. Let me tell you a little story. Years ago, I met a young man who seemed to have it all together on the outside. He had a good job, a nice car, a beautiful home. But when I talked to him, I could see the emptiness in his eyes. He was living someone else's life, following someone else's dreams. And he was miserable. I asked him a simple question. If you could do anything in the world without fear of failure or judgment, what would it be? And you know what? He couldn't answer. He had spent so much time trying to be what others wanted him to be that he had lost touch with his own desires, his own passions. That, my friends, is a tragedy, but it's a tragedy that plays out every single day all around us. People living lives of quiet desperation, never daring to look inside themselves and ask, who am I really? What I truly want? So today, we are going to change that. We are going to embark on a journey of self-discovery that will transform your life. And I promise you, if you commit to this journey, if you truly dedicate yourself to knowing yourself better than anyone else, your life will never be the same. Why self-knowledge is so powerful. When you know yourself, truly know yourself, you gain an unshakable confidence. Not the kind of shallow, boastful confidence that comes from external validation, but a deep inner certainty that comes from understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, and your purpose. This kind of self-knowledge gives you the courage to take risks, to pursue your dreams, to stand up for what you believe in. It allows you to make decisions with clarity and conviction because you know exactly who you are and what you stand for. Think about the great leaders and innovators throughout history. What set them apart was not just their skills or their intelligence. It was their unwavering sense of self. They knew who they were, what they believed in, and what they were capable of. And that knowledge gave them the strength to change the world. Knowing yourself is not a destination. It's a lifelong journey. We are constantly growing, changing, evolving. The person you are today is not the same person you were 5 years ago, and it's not the same person you'll be 5 years from now. That's why self-discovery is an ongoing process, a daily practice of introspection and growth. So how do we begin this journey? Well, it starts with asking yourself some tough questions. What are my core values? What principles do I refuse to compromise on? No matter what are my true passions? What activities make me lose track of time and fill me with energy? What are my strengths? What comes naturally to me that others find difficult? What are my weaknesses? What areas do I need to improve in? What are my fears? What's holding me back from pursuing my dreams? What legacy do I want to leave behind? How do I want to be remembered? Now, these are not easy questions to answer. They require deep reflection, honesty, and sometimes painful self-examination. But I promise you, the rewards of this self-discovery are beyond measure. Let me give you an example. I once knew a woman who had a successful career in finance. She made good money, had a prestigious title, but something was missing. She felt unfulfilled, like she was just going through the motion. One day she decided to really dig deep and answer these questions for herself. And you know what she discovered? Her true passion was not in finance at all. It was in teaching. She realized that the moments when she felt most alive were when she was mentoring younger colleagues or explaining complex concepts to clients. This realization changed everything for her. She didn't quit her job overnight. That would have been irresponsible. But she started volunteering as a tutor in her free time. She began looking for opportunities to teach and mentor within her company. And over time, she transitioned into a role that allowed her to combine her financial expertise with her passion for education. The result? She's happier, more fulfilled, and more successful than ever before, all because she took the time to truly know herself. Now, I can already hear some of you thinking, but what if I don't like what I discover about myself? What if I find out I'm not as talented or as strong as I thought I was? Self-knowledge is not about judgment. It's not about labeling yourself as good or bad, strong or weak. It's about understanding. It's about acceptance. And most importantly, it's about growth. When you truly know yourself, you can start to work with your strengths and improve your weaknesses. You can align your life with your values and passions. You can make choices that lead to genuine fulfillment, not just temporary pleasure. And here's a secret that many people don't realize. Your weaknesses often hold the key to your greatest strengths. Let me explain what I mean. I once met a young entrepreneur who was struggling to get his business off the ground. He was brilliant when it came to product development, but he was terrible at public speaking. He hated getting up in front of people, stumbled over his words, and couldn't seem to connect with his audience. Now, many people would have seen this as a simple weakness to be overcome, but this young man did something different. He dug deeper. He asked himself why public speaking was so difficult for him, and he realized it was because he had a deep fear of being misunderstood. This fear of being misunderstood, it turned out, came from a place of caring deeply about clear communication. He hated the idea of his message getting lost or distorted. So instead of just trying to become a better public speaker, he turned this weakness into a strength. He developed a unique presentation style that focused on clarity and precision. He used visuals, demos, and interactive elements to ensure his message was understood perfectly. And you know what? His presentations became legendary in his industry. People would line up to see him speak, not because he was the most charismatic orator, but because they knew they would come away with a crystal clear understanding of complex topics. This is the power of truly knowing yourself. It allows you to turn your weaknesses into strengths, to find opportunity in adversity, to create success on your own terms. Our minds are incredibly powerful tools, but they can also be our worst enemies if we don't understand how they work. Have you ever found yourself procrastinating on an important task, even though you know it needs to be done? Have you ever said something in anger that you immediately regretted? Have you ever set a goal for yourself only to give up when things got tough? These are all examples of how our minds can work against us when we don't understand them. But when you truly know yourself, you start to recognize these patterns. You start to understand why you do the things you do, why you feel the way you feel. And once you understand, you can start to change. You can start to rewire those mental patterns that are not serving you. You can start to cultivate habits and thought processes that push you towards success rather than holding you back. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. I once worked with a talented artist who was struggling with procrastination. She had big dreams, amazing ideas, but she could never seem to finish her projects. She'd start with enthusiasm, but as soon as things got challenging, she would find excuses to put the work aside. Now, the easy answer would have been to just tell her to stop procrastinating, but that's like telling someone with a broken leg to stop limping. It doesn't address the root cause. So instead, we dug deeper. We explored her thought patterns, her fears, her beliefs about herself and her work. And you know what we discovered? Deep down, she was terrified of failure. She had this belief that if her finished work was not perfect, it would prove that she was not a real artist. This fear was so strong that her mind had developed procrastination as a protection mechanism. After all, if you never finish anything, you can never fail, right? Once she understood this about herself, everything changed. She realized that her procrastination was not laziness, it was fear, and she could work with fear. She could challenge it, reframe it, overcome it. She started small, finishing tiny projects and sharing them with trusted friends. She learned to embrace imperfection as part of the creative process. She developed mantras and rituals to push through when the fear arose. And bit by bit, she transformed. Not only did she start finishing her projects, but her work became more authentic, more powerful. Because now it was not just art, it was a declaration of courage, a triumph over fear. This is the transformative power of self-knowledge. When you understand why you do what you do, you gain the power to change it. Understanding your values. Your values are the principles that guide your decisions, shape your character, and define what's truly important to you. Many people go through life without ever really thinking about their values. They absorb ideas from their parents, their friends, their culture, without ever stopping to question whether these values truly resonate with them. But when you know yourself, truly know yourself, you take the time to examine your values. You ask yourself, what do I believe in? What's non-negotiable for me? What would I stand up for even if I stood alone? This is not always an easy process. Sometimes you might discover that the values you thought were yours were actually imposed on you by others. Sometimes you might find that your actions don't align with your true values, and that can be uncomfortable. But let me tell you, the clarity that comes from understanding your values is worth any discomfort. Because when you know your values, you have a compass to guide you through life's toughest decisions. Let me share a story to illustrate this. I once knew a man who had a high-paying job in an industry that, let's just say, was not known for its ethical practices. For years, he justified it to himself. It's just business, he'd say. Everyone does it. But deep down, he was unhappy. He couldn't quite put his finger on why. But there was this constant sense of unease, of discord in his life. One day, he decided to really examine his values. He spent time reflecting, journaling, really digging deep into what mattered most to him. And he realized that one of his core values was integrity, doing the right thing even when no one is watching. This realization hit him like a ton of bricks. He suddenly understood why he had been so unhappy. His actions, his career, his daily life, they were all in conflict with this core value of integrity. It was not an easy decision, but he chose to leave his job. He took a significant pay cut to work for a company that aligned with his values. And you know what? Despite the financial hit, he was happier than he'd ever been. Because now, he was living in alignment with his true self. That's the power of knowing your values. It allows you to make decisions that resonate with your core self, leading to a life of authenticity and fulfillment. Some of you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but I don't have time for all this self-reflection. I'm too busy trying to make a living, raise my family, keep up with my responsibilities. I understand that feeling. Life is busy and it often feels like we are just trying to keep our heads above water. But here's the truth. You can't afford not to know yourself. Imagine you are trying to drive to a specific destination, but you don't know where you are starting from. You don't have a map, you don't have a compass, you don't even know which direction you are facing. How likely are you to reach your destination? That's what life is like when you don't know yourself. You might be moving, you might be busy, but are you actually getting anywhere? Are you moving towards your true goals, or are you just running on a hamster wheel? Knowing yourself is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's the foundation that everything else in your life is built upon. Your relationships, your career, your personal growth. All of these depend on your level of self-knowledge. So how do we make time for self-discovery in our busy lives? Well, it starts with prioritization. We make time for what we truly value. If you value self-knowledge, you'll find the time. But it doesn't have to be a huge time commitment. Start small. Spend just 10 minutes a day in quiet reflection. Ask yourself one probing question each morning and ponder it as you go about your day. Keep a journal and jot down your thoughts when you have a spare moment. Remember, self-discovery is not something you do once and then you are done. It's a lifelong journey, a daily practice. Every day you have the opportunity to learn something new about yourself, to dig a little deeper, to understand yourself a little better. Most people have no idea what they're truly capable of. They set their sights too low, they play it safe, they stay within their comfort zones. But when you really know yourself, you start to understand the vast potential that lies within you. You start to see possibilities where others see limitations. You start to dream bigger, reach higher, push further. I'm reminded of a story about a young athlete I once knew. When she first started training, she was average at best. She was not the fastest, she was not the strongest, she was not the most skilled. But she had one thing going for her. She was determined to know herself better than anyone else. She studied her body, learning exactly how it responded to different types of training. She examined her mind, understanding her mental strengths and weaknesses. She analyzed her emotions, figuring out what motivated her, what discouraged her, what pushed her to excel. And you know what? Over time, she transformed. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. She didn't just become a better athlete. She became a different person entirely. She discovered reserves of strength, endurance, and willpower that she never knew she had. She went from being an average athlete to breaking world records, all because she took the time to truly understand herself and her potential. Now, I'm not saying that self-knowledge will necessarily turn you into a world record-breaking athlete. But I am saying that when you truly know yourself, you unlock potential you never knew you had. You discover strengths you didn't realize you possessed. You find courage you didn't know was there. And this doesn't just apply to physical achievements. It applies to every area of your life. Your career, your relationships, your personal growth. All of these can be transformed when you tap into your true potential. Potential alone is not enough. Knowing your potential is just the first step. The next step is acting on that knowledge, pushing yourself to grow, to improve, to become the best version of yourself. This is where many people falter. They might recognize their potential, but they're afraid to act on it. They're comfortable where they are, and growth requires discomfort. It requires stepping out of your comfort zone, facing your fears, embracing failure as a learning opportunity. But my friends, this discomfort is where the magic happens. It's in those moments of challenge, of struggle, of pushing beyond what you thought you were capable of. That's where you truly discover who you are and what you are made of. I want you to think about something for a moment. Think about the person you were 5 years ago. Now think about who you are today. Are you the same person? Of course not. You have grown, you have changed, you have evolved. Laziness is a silent killer. It's not just killing your dreams. It's assassinating your potential, murdering your future, and burying your success 6 feet under. Picture yourself 10 years from now. Are you living the life you've always dreamed of? Or are you sitting on that same couch watching the same TV shows, making the same excuses? The choice, my friends, is yours to make right now. You see, success isn't something that falls into your lap while you're taking a nap. It's not delivered to your doorstep like a pizza. Success is earned. It's fought for. It's wrestled from the jaws of mediocrity with blood, sweat, and tears. Laziness makes you believe that success is too hard, too far away, or meant for someone else. It whispers sweet nothings in your ear, telling you to take it easy and why bother. Well, I'm here to tell you why you should bother, because your life depends on it. Let me share a little secret with you. The most successful people in this world aren't necessarily the smartest, the most talented, or the luckiest. No, they're the ones who decided to get off their behinds and do something with their lives. They're the ones who said no to laziness and yes to hard work. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I'm tired. I work all day. I deserve some rest. And you're right, you do deserve rest, but there's a big difference between recharging your batteries and letting them run completely dry. Laziness isn't rest, it's rust. It's the corrosion of your ambitions, the decay of your dreams. Every time you choose laziness over action, you're voting for a future you don't want. Every time you hit that snooze button, you're saying no to your goals. Every time you choose the easy way out, you're choosing a hard life in the long run. But it doesn't have to be this way. You have the power to change. You have the ability to transform your life, starting right here, right now. And it all begins with a simple decision. The decision to act. Let me tell you about a young man I once knew. We will call him Tom. Tom was bright, had a good education, and came from a loving family. He had all the ingredients for success. But Tom had a problem. He was lazy. He always looked for the easy way out, the shortcut, the quick fix. Tom would start projects but never finish them. He'd make grand plans but never follow through. He was always going to do something great, but that something never seemed to happen. Years passed, and while his friends were climbing the ladder of success, Tom was still on the ground floor, wondering why the elevator wasn't working. One day Tom woke up and realized he was 40 years old. He had a job he hated, a mountain of debt, and a life full of regrets. That's when it hit him like a ton of bricks. Laziness had stolen his future. Now, I'm not telling you this story to depress you. I'm telling you this because I want you to avoid Tom's fate. I want you to recognize the danger of laziness before it's too late. Laziness is like a credit card. It's fun to use now, but the bill always comes due. The interest on laziness is astronomical. It compounds daily, hourly, by the minute. Before you know it, you're drowning in a sea of missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. Just as laziness can compound negatively, action can compound positively. Every step you take towards your goals, no matter how small, builds momentum. Every time you choose action over inaction, you're investing in your future self. Imagine if you read just 10 pages of a good book every day. In a year, you'd have read 3,650 pages. That's about 12 books. Think about how much knowledge you'd gain, how much wisdom you'd acquire, how much closer you'd be to your goals. Or let's say you decide to save just $5 a day. In a year, you'd have $18, $25. In 10 years, with compound interest, you could have over $23,000. That's a nice chunk of change, and it all started with just $5 a day. The point is, small actions taken consistently can lead to massive results. But here's the catch. You have to start, you have to overcome that initial inertia, you have to say no to laziness and yes to action. Now I know it's not easy. Laziness is comfortable, it's familiar, it doesn't demand anything from you. But that's precisely why it's so dangerous. It lulls you into a false sense of security while robbing you of your dream. So how do we fight laziness? How do we kick this dream-killing habit to the curb? Well, let me give you a few strategies that have worked for me and countless others. First, start your day right. The way you start your morning sets the tone for the entire day. Don't hit that snooze button. When the alarm goes off, get up. Make your bed. It might seem small, but it's your first victory of the day. It sets a precedent of action over laziness. Second, set clear, specific goals. Laziness thrives in ambiguity. When you don't know what you're working towards, it's easy to do nothing. But when you have clear, specific goals, you have a target to aim for. You have a reason to get moving. Third, break big tasks into smaller, manageable chunks. Laziness often comes from feeling overwhelmed. When a task seems too big, we procrastinate. But if you break it down into smaller steps, it becomes less daunting. You can tackle it one piece at a time. Fourth, create a routine and stick to it. Routine is the enemy of laziness. When you have a set schedule, you don't have to rely on motivation or willpower. You just do what needs to be done because it's part of your routine. Surround yourself with action takers. Jim Rohn, and yes, I'm quoting myself here, once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you hang around lazy people, guess what? You'll become lazy too. But if you surround yourself with go-getters, their energy will rub off on you." 6, celebrate your victories no matter how small. Did you make that phone call you've been putting off? Celebrate it. Did you finish that report ahead of schedule? Give yourself a pat on the back. Recognizing your progress, no matter how small, motivates you to keep going. 7th, learn to love the process, not just the result. Laziness often comes from focusing too much on the end goal and not enjoying the journey. But success is not a destination. It's a way of life. Learn to love the daily grind, the small improvements, the gradual progress. 8th, develop a sense of urgency. Realize that time is your most precious resource and you're not getting any more of it. Every minute you waste is gone forever. When you truly understand this, you'll be less likely to squander your time on lazy pursuits. 9th, face your fears. Often what we perceive as laziness is actually fear in disguise. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown. Recognize these fears for what they are and face them head on. Remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in the face of fear. And 10th, forgive yourself, but don't let yourself off the hook. We all have lazy moments. We all slip up. The key is not to let these moments define you. Forgive yourself, learn from the experience, and get back on track. Fighting laziness isn't about working yourself to the bone. It's not about burning yourself out. It's about finding that sweet spot between comfort and growth. It's about pushing yourself just enough to make progress, but not so much that you break. Think of it like working out. If you never push yourself, you'll never get stronger. But if you push too hard, you'll injure yourself. The key is to find that optimal level of challenge, the place where growth happens. Laziness isn't just about physical inaction. It can show up in many forms. There's mental laziness, where we refuse to think deeply about problems. There's emotional laziness, where we avoid dealing with our feelings. There's even spiritual laziness, where we neglect our inner growth. To truly overcome laziness, we need to address all these areas. We need to challenge ourselves, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as well. Let me give you an example. Say you're in a job you don't like. Physical laziness might keep you from looking for a new job. Mental laziness might keep you from learning new skills. Emotional laziness might keep you from addressing your fear of change. And spiritual laziness might keep you from examining what you truly want out of life. See how it all connects? That's why fighting laziness is so crucial. It's not just about being more productive, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. Now, I want to address something that often comes up when we talk about laziness. Some people say, but what about relaxation? What about downtime? Aren't those important too? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Rest and relaxation are crucial for our well-being. But here's the difference. Relaxation recharges you. Laziness drains you. Relaxation is intentional. Laziness is passive. A relaxation prepares you for action. Laziness prevents action. The key is to make your downtime count. When you relax, do it fully. Be present. Enjoy it. But when it's time to work, give it your all. Don't blur the lines between work and rest. Be fully engaged in whatever you're doing. The laziness of low expectations. This is when we set the bar so low for ourselves that we barely have to try. It's when we say things like, that's good enough, or it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, don't get me wrong. Perfectionism can be just as paralyzing as laziness. But there's a big difference between doing your best and barely trying. The laziness of low expectations robs you of your potential. It keeps you stuck in mediocrity. Instead, challenge yourself to raise your standards. Expect more from yourself. Not to the point of perfectionism, but to the point of excellence. Remember, the gap between average and exceptional isn't as wide as you might think. Often, it's just a matter of putting in that extra 10 effort. Let me share another story with you. There was once a young woman named Sarah. Sarah was talented, smart, and had big dreams, but she had fallen into the trap of laziness. She always had an excuse for why she couldn't pursue her goals. I'm too tired, she'd say. I don't have enough time, was another favorite. One day, Sarah met an old friend who had become incredibly successful. Curious, Sarah asked her friend, how did you do it? How did you achieve so much? Her friend smiled and said, Sarah, the difference between us isn't talent or opportunity. It's what we do with our 24 hours. While you're making excuses, I'm making progress. While you're saying I can't, I'm figuring out how I can. It's as simple as that. That conversation was a wake-up call for Sarah. She realized that her laziness wasn't just affecting her career. It was affecting every aspect of her life. Her relationships were suffering because she was too lazy to put in the effort. Her health was declining because she was too lazy to exercise and eat right. Her mind was stagnating because she was too lazy to learn new things. From that day on, Sarah made a commitment to herself. She decided to treat every day as an opportunity, not an obligation. She started small. Instead of watching TV after work, she spent an hour learning a new skill. Instead of sleeping in on weekends, she went for a morning run. Instead of putting off her dreams, she took one small step towards them every day. It wasn't easy. There were days when the old lazy Sarah wanted to take over, but every time she felt like giving up, she remembered her friend's words, "While you're making excuses, I'm making progress." Bit by bit, day by day, Sarah's life began to change. Her career took off, her relationships improved, her health got better, and most importantly, her self-respect grew. She was no longer the person who always had an excuse. She was now the person who always found a way. Sarah's story teaches an important lesson. Overcoming laziness isn't just about doing more. It's about becoming more. It's about growing into the person you're capable of being. Where has laziness held you back? What dreams have you put on hold because they seem too hard? What relationships have suffered because you were too lazy to put in the effort? More importantly, what could your life look like if you decided right here and now to kick laziness to the curb? How much could you achieve? How much could you grow? How much happier and more fulfilled could you be? The answer to those questions is in your hands. You have the power to change your life starting right now. But remember, it's not about making a drastic change overnight. It's about making a series of small, consistent choices every day. Choose to wake up early instead of sleeping in. Choose to read a book instead of scrolling through social media. Choose to have that difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. Choose to work on your dreams instead of just dreaming about them. These choices might seem small in the moment, but they add up. They compound. They create momentum. And before you know it, you're living a life that you once only dreamed of. You have to start. You have to take that first step. And then the next one, and the one after that. Success is not about taking one giant leap. It's about taking many small steps consistently. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but I've tried before. I've failed before. What makes this time any different? And to that, I say, the past does not equal the future. Just because you've failed before doesn't mean you'll fail again. In fact, those failures are valuable lessons that can guide you to success. Remember, every successful person you admire has failed, probably more times than you can imagine. The difference is they didn't let those failures define them. They let those failures refine them. They used those failures as stepping stones to success. So if you've tried and failed before, congratulations. You're on the right track. Now get up, dust yourself off, and try again. But this time armed with the lessons from your past attempts. The laziness of the comfort zone. This is when we refuse to try new things or take risks because we're comfortable where we are. It's when we say, "Why rock the boat?" Or better, "The devil you know." The comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Nothing great ever came from comfort zones. Every major breakthrough, every significant achievement, every life-changing discovery came from someone who was willing to step out of their comfort zone. Would we have electricity if Edison had stayed in his comfort zone? Would we have gone to the moon if NASA had played it safe? Would any great art have been created if artists only painted what they knew? The comfort zone might feel safe, but it's a trap. It's quicksand. The longer you stay, the deeper you sink and the harder it becomes to get out. That's why it's crucial to regularly push yourself out of your comfort zone. Try new things. Take calculated risks. Embrace the unknown. Now, I'm not saying you should be reckless. I'm saying you should be courageous. There's a big difference. Recklessness is jumping out of a plane without a parachute. Courage is jumping out of a plane with a parachute even though you're scared. So ask yourself, what's one thing you've always wanted to do but were too afraid to try? What's one step you could take today that would push you out of your comfort zone? It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's signing up for a class you've always been interested in. Maybe it's having that conversation you've been putting off. Maybe it's applying for that job you think you're not qualified for. Whatever it is, do it, take that step, because here's the secret. The discomfort you feel when you step out of your comfort zone is the feeling of growth. It's the feeling of becoming more than you were yesterday. The laziness that is becoming increasingly common in our modern world. Information laziness. We live in an age where we have more information at our fingertips than ever before in human history. It's truly remarkable. With just a few taps on a smartphone, we can access the collective knowledge of humanity. Despite having all this information available, many of us have become lazy in how we consume and process it. We skim headlines instead of reading full articles. We watch 30-second video clips instead of in-depth documentaries. We rely on social media sound bites instead of diving deep into a subject. This information laziness is dangerous. It leads to shallow thinking, poor decision making, and a superficial understanding of the world around us. It's like trying to build a house with a hammer and nothing else. Sure, you might be able to bang a few nails in, but you're never going to create anything substantial or lasting. To truly succeed in today's world, we need to cultivate a hunger for knowledge. We need to be willing to do the hard work of learning, of diving deep into subjects, of challenging our own assumptions and beliefs. It's not enough to know a little about a lot. We need to know a lot about the things that matter most to our goals and our lives. So how do we overcome this information laziness? Well, it starts with being intentional about our learning. Instead of passively consuming whatever content algorithms feed us, we need to actively seek out high-quality information. Read books, not just tweets. Listen to long-form podcasts, not just sound bites. Engage in deep conversations, not just small talk. Every day, learn something new that's directly related to your goals. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's a new vocabulary word in a language you're learning. Maybe it's a new feature in a software you use for work. Maybe it's a new fact about a subject you're passionate about. The key is consistency. Small bits of knowledge accumulated over time can lead to massive expertise. Remember, in the information age, knowledge isn't just power, it's survival. The most successful people in any field are often the ones who never stop learning, who are always hungry for new information and insights. They're the ones who fight against information laziness every single day. Idleness that can be particularly devastating. Emotional laziness, this is when we avoid dealing with our feelings, when we refuse to do the hard work of emotional growth and self-awareness. Emotional laziness can manifest in many ways. It's when we bottle up our feelings instead of expressing them healthily. It's when we avoid difficult conversations because they make us uncomfortable. It's when we repeat the same destructive patterns in our relationships because we're too lazy to examine our own behavior. Emotional intelligence is just as important as intellectual intelligence when it comes to success. In fact, some would argue it's even more important. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't manage your emotions, if you can't empathize with others, if you can't handle stress and pressure, you're going to struggle. Overcoming emotional laziness requires courage. It requires a willingness to look at ourselves honestly, to confront our fears and insecurities, to have those difficult conversations. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Start by practicing self-reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to think about your emotional responses. Were there moments when you overreacted? Times when you avoided expressing how you truly felt? Situations where you could have shown more empathy? And don't just reflect, take action. If you realize you've hurt someone, apologize. If you've been avoiding a conversation, have it. If you've been neglecting your own emotional needs, address them. Remember, emotional growth, like any other form of growth, happens through consistent, intentional effort. The laziness of distraction. We live in a world that's constantly vying for our attention. social media notifications, email alerts, breaking news updates. It's a never-ending stream of distractions. And it's so easy to give in to these distractions. It's so easy to spend hours scrolling through social media, or binge watching the latest TV show, or jumping from one YouTube video to another. But while these activities might feel good in the moment, they're often just a form of lazy escapism. Successful people in the world have one thing in common. They're masters of their own attention. They understand that focus is a superpower in a world of distractions. They know how to tune out the noise and concentrate on what truly matters. So how do we overcome the laziness of distraction? It starts with being intentional about our time and attention. Create designated periods for focused work, free from distractions. Turn off notifications on your phone. Use website blockers if you need to. Train yourself to resist the urge to constantly check your devices. But it's not just about eliminating distractions. It's also about being proactive with your attention. Instead of letting your mind wander aimlessly, direct it towards your goals. Use techniques like visualization to stay focused on what you want to achieve. Practice mindfulness to strengthen your ability to concentrate. Remember, your life is the sum of what you focus on. If you're constantly distracted by trivial things, you'll struggle to achieve anything significant. But if you can learn to focus your attention on what truly matters, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. The laziness of low standards. This is when we settle for less than we're capable of, when we say good enough instead of striving for excellence. The laziness of low standards is particularly dangerous because it's often disguised as contentment or humility. We tell ourselves, I shouldn't expect too much, or it's okay to be average. But here's the truth, settling for less than you're capable of is a form of self-betrayal. You see, each of us has a unique set of talents and abilities. We have the potential to create, to innovate, to make a real difference in the world. But when we lower our standards, when we settle for mediocrity, we're not just cheating ourselves, we're cheating the world of our best contributions. So how do we overcome the laziness of low standards? It starts with raising our expectations of ourselves, of our work, of our relationships, of our lives. It means constantly asking, is this the best I can do? And if the answer is no, being willing to put in the extra effort to make it better. Now, this doesn't mean striving for perfection. Perfection is often the enemy of progress. What it means is committing to excellence in everything you do. Whether you're writing a report, cooking a meal, or having a conversation with a friend, give it your best effort. Make it a habit to go the extra mile, to add that extra touch of quality and care. When you raise your standards, you raise your life, you start attracting better opportunities, better relationships, better everything. Because the world responds to the standards you set for yourself. The laziness of fixed mindsets. This is when we believe our abilities are set in stone, that we can't learn new skills or change our personalities. It's when we say things like, I'm just not good at math, or I'm not a creative person. This kind of thinking is lazy because it gives us an excuse not to try, not to push ourselves outside our comfort zones. It's easier to believe we can't do something than to put in the effort to learn and improve. Your abilities are not fixed. Your brain is incredibly plastic, capable of forming new neural connections throughout your life. You can learn new skills, develop new talents, even change aspects of your personality if you're willing to put in the work. Overcoming the laziness of fixed mindsets requires adopting a growth mindset. This means believing that your abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. It means embracing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than threats to your self-image. So the next time you find yourself thinking, I can't do this, challenge that thought. Replace it with, I can't do this yet, but I can learn. And then take action. Take that class, read that book, practice that skill. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. The only difference is they didn't let their initial lack of skill stop them from trying and improving. Impatient laziness. This is when we want immediate results, when we are unwilling to put in the time and effort required for real, lasting success. We live in an age of instant gratification. We can get food delivered to our doorstep with a few taps on our phone. We can binge watch entire TV series in a weekend. We can connect with people across the world in seconds. And while these conveniences are wonderful in many ways, they've also conditioned us to expect everything to happen quickly and easily. Real success, meaningful achievement doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of consistent effort over time. It's the compound interest of small, daily actions. It's the harvest that comes after seasons of planning and tending. The laziness of impatience leads us to give up too soon, to abandon our goals when we don't see immediate results. It leads us to chase get-rich-quick schemes and fad diets instead of building sustainable wealth and health. It makes us jump from one thing to another, never giving ourselves the chance to truly master anything. So how do we overcome this laziness of impatience? It starts with cultivating a long-term perspective. Instead of focusing solely on immediate results, think about where you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 2,000 years. Set big, ambitious goals, but then break them down into small, daily actions. Fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. Find joy in the daily work, in the small improvements, in the gradual progress. Celebrate the small wins along the way. Remember, success is not a destination you reach. It's a way of traveling. Patience doesn't mean being passive. It means working consistently towards your goals, trusting in the process, and understanding that meaningful change takes time. It's about planting seeds today for a harvest you might not see for years to come. The laziness of blame. This is when we refuse to take responsibility for our lives, when we point fingers at others or circumstances for our problems and failure. So easy to fall into this trap. After all, there are always external factors we can point to. The economy is bad. Our boss is unfair. We didn't have the same opportunities as others. And while these factors are real and can certainly impact our lives, using them as excuses is a form of laziness. Blaming others or circumstances for our situation is comfortable. It absolves us of responsibility. It allows us to stay in our comfort zone to avoid the hard work of change and growth, but it's also incredibly disempowering. Because if we believe our life is entirely dictated by external forces, we give away our power to shape our own destiny. The truth is, while we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. We can always choose our attitude, our actions, our efforts. And it's these choices made consistently over time that ultimately determine our success and happiness. Overcoming the laziness of blame requires a fundamental shift in mindset. Instead of asking, whose fault is this? Ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of saying, this happened to me, say, how can I respond to this in a way that moves me closer to my goals? Taking responsibility for your life isn't about beating yourself up for past mistakes or ignoring real challenges. It's about empowering yourself to create change. It's about focusing on what you can control rather than what you can't. So the next time you catch yourself blaming others or circumstances for your situation, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what's one thing I can do right now to improve this situation? Then do that thing. Because action, no matter how small, is the antidote to the paralysis of blame, a form of laziness that is particularly relevant in our interconnected world. The laziness of comparison. This is when we spend more time looking at what others are doing than focusing on our own path. It's when we use other successes as an excuse for our own actions, saying things like, well, I could never be as successful as them, so why even try? Social media has made this form of laziness easier than ever. We're constantly bombarded with highlight reels of others' lives. We see their successes, their achievements, their perfect Instagram moments. And it's so easy to fall into the trap of comparison, to feel like we're falling behind. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's also the accomplice of laziness. When we're busy looking at others, we're not focusing on our own growth. When we're comparing our beginning to someone else's middle, we're giving ourselves an excuse not to start. Remember, success is not a zero-sum game. Someone else's success doesn't diminish the possibility of your own. In fact, if you look at it the right way, other successes can be inspiring, motivating. They can show you what's possible if you're willing to put in the work. So how do we overcome the laziness of comparison? It starts with focusing on your own journey. Set your own goals based on your values and aspirations, not on what others are doing. Measure your progress against where you were yesterday, not against where someone else is today. And here's a powerful shift in perspective. Instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to your potential. Ask yourself, am I becoming the best version of myself? Am I making the most of my unique talents and opportunities? These questions will motivate you to focus on your own growth rather than getting distracted by what others are doing. Let's address one final form of laziness, the laziness of not dreaming big enough. This might seem counterintuitive. After all, isn't it lazy to dream of big things without putting in the work? But there's a different kind of laziness in setting small, safe goals that don't truly inspire or challenge us. When we set small goals, we only need to put in small efforts. We can stay comfortably within our current abilities and routines. But when we set big, audacious goals, we're forced to grow, to learn, to become more than we currently are. The great achievements in human history, the moon landing, the eradication of smallpox, the invention of the internet, these weren't accomplished by people setting small, safe goals. They were the result of big dreams backed by relentless effort. Now, I'm not saying you need to aim for changing the entire world, although if that's your goal, more power to you. But whatever your field, whatever your passion, I challenge you to dream bigger. Set goals that excite you, that scare you a little, that make you think, can I really do that? The size of your success is directly proportional to the size of your dreams and the intensity of your efforts to achieve them. When you set big goals, you tap into reserves of energy, creativity, and determination you didn't even know you had. So ask yourself, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What impact do you want to have on the world? What legacy do you want to leave? Let your answers to these questions guide your goals. And remember, it's not just about the end result. The person you become in the pursuit of your big dreams is often the most valuable reward. The skills you develop, the mindset you cultivate, the relationships you build along the way, these are the true fruits of daring to dream big and working tirelessly to make those dreams a reality. Laziness isn't your natural state. It's a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. You were born with an innate drive to grow, to learn, to achieve. That drive is still within you, waiting to be awakened. Every day, you have a choice. You can choose laziness, or you can choose action. You can choose comfort, or you can choose growth. You can choose to be a victim of circumstances, or you can choose to be the architect of your own life. The choice is yours. And it's a choice you make not once, but over and over again, in every moment of every day, in the small decisions and the big ones, in how you spend your time, your energy, your focus. Society has sold us a lie that happiness comes from constant connection. We're told that to be alone is to be incomplete, unfulfilled, somehow lack. But what if this conventional wisdom is not just wrong, but harmful? What if the key to genuine happiness lies not in others, but within ourselves? Today, we're going to challenge everything you think you know about happiness. Prepare to embark on a journey of self-discovery that could change your life forever. Happiness? It's the eternal quest, isn't it? We chase it, we yearn for it, and sometimes we even fool ourselves into thinking we found it in the company of others. But let me tell you something profound, something that might just change your life. True happiness, lasting happiness, comes from within. It's not about being surrounded by people. It's about being at peace with yourself. Now, I know what you're thinking, being alone. That sounds lonely. But here's the kicker. There's a world of difference between being alone and being lonely. And today, we're going to explore that difference and learn how to embrace solitude as a pathway to genuine happiness. You see, in this bustling world of ours, we're constantly bombarded with noise, with distractions, with the opinions and expectations of others. We're told that to be happy, we need to be popular, to have a bustling social life, to always be in the company of others. But I'm here to challenge that notion. I'm here to show you that some of the most profound moments of joy, of self-discovery, of personal growth, happen when we're alone. Think about it. When was the last time you truly sat with yourself without any distractions? When did you last listen to the whispers of your own heart without the cacophony of the world drowning it out? It's in these moments of solitude that we find our true selves, that we connect with our deepest desires and aspirations. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating for a life of isolation. Humans are social creatures, and relationships are important. But there's a balance to be struck, and many of us have tipped too far in the direction of constant connection, constant company. We've forgotten how to be alone, and in doing so, we've lost touch with a crucial part of ourselves. Learning to be happy alone isn't just about surviving solitude. It's about thriving in it. It's about discovering the joy of your own company, the richness of your own thoughts, the depth of your own capabilities. It's about building a relationship with yourself that's so strong, so fulfilling, that being alone becomes a choice, not a circumstance to be feared. So how do we get there? How do we learn to find happiness in solitude? Well, my friends, that's what we're here to explore today. We're going to delve into practical strategies, mindset shifts, and powerful insights that will transform your relationship with solitude. By the end of our time together, you'll not only be comfortable with being alone, you'll relish it. Let's start with the fundamental truths. You are complete just as you are. You don't need anyone else to make you whole. This isn't just feel-good talk. It's a powerful reality that, once embraced, can revolutionize your life. When you truly internalize this, when you feel it in your bones, being alone ceases to be a source of anxiety and instead becomes an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Now, I can almost hear some of you protesting, but what about love? What about relationships? And you're right to ask. Love and connection are beautiful, important parts of the human experience. But here's the thing. The strongest, healthiest relationships are formed between two whole individuals who choose to share their lives, not between two halves desperately seeking completion in each other. When you learn to be happy alone, you bring that happiness into your relationships. You're not looking for someone to fill a void. You're looking for someone to share your already full life with. And that, my friends, is the foundation of truly fulfilling connections. So, how do we start building this foundation of self-sufficiency and inner happiness? It begins with self-awareness. You need to get to know yourself truly and deeply. What are your passions? What drives you? What brings you joy, independent of anyone else's presence or approval? Start by spending time in reflection. Keep a journal. Write down your thoughts, your dreams, your fears. Don't judge them. Just let them flow. This process of self-discovery can be uncomfortable at first. We're not used to sitting with our own thoughts, to facing ourselves without distraction. But push through that discomfort. On the other side is a level of self-understanding that will transform your life. As you get to know yourself better, you'll start to identify the activities that truly fulfill you. Maybe it's reading or painting or hiking in nature. Maybe it's learning a new skill or working on a passion project. Whatever it is, invest time in these activities. Develop hobbies and interests that are just for you, not to impress anyone else or to fit in with a group. This is where the magic happens. When you engage in activities that truly resonate with your soul, you tap into a wellspring of joy that comes from within. You're not dependent on external validation or company to feel good. You're creating your own happiness moment by moment through your choices and actions. Now, let's talk about mindset. One of the biggest obstacles to being happy alone is the fear of missing out. We worry that if we're not constantly socializing, we're somehow falling behind or missing out on life. But here's a radical thought. What if the richest experiences, the most profound growth, happens in moments of solitude? Think about the great thinkers, artists, and innovators throughout history. Many of them produced their most groundbreaking work in periods of solitude. They understood that creativity and insight often flourish in the quiet moments when we're alone with our thoughts. So instead of fearing solitude, start to see it as an opportunity for growth, for creativity, for self-discovery. When you're alone, you have the freedom to explore your thoughts without interruption, to follow your curiosity wherever it leads you. Embrace this freedom. Use it to dive deep into subjects that fascinate you, to experiment with new ideas, to push the boundaries of your own understanding. Another crucial aspect of learning to be happy alone is developing self-compassion. We often treat ourselves far more harshly than we would treat a friend. We criticize our flaws, dwell on our mistakes, and hold ourselves to impossible. But imagine if you treated yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you'd offer to a loved one. Start practicing self-compassion. When you make a mistake, instead of berating yourself, speak to yourself with kindness. Acknowledge that everyone makes mistakes and that they're opportunities for learning and growth. Celebrate your successes, no matter how small. Be your own cheerleader. This self-compassion is the foundation of a loving relationship with yourself. And when you have that, being alone becomes a joy rather than a burden. You're no longer trying to escape your own company. You're relishing it. Now, let's talk about fear. For many people, the fear of being alone stems from a deeper fear, the fear of confronting ourselves. When we're constantly surrounded by others or distracted by entertainment, we can avoid facing our own thoughts, our own emotions. But true growth, true happiness, comes from confronting these fears head on. Start small. Spend 5 minutes a day in complete silence, just sitting with your thoughts. No phone, no TV, no distractions. Just you and your mind. At first it might feel uncomfortable. You might find your thoughts racing or old worries surfacing. That's okay. Don't try to suppress these thoughts. Observe them. Let them come and go without. As you practice this, you'll find that the noise in your mind starts to quiet down. You'll become more comfortable with your own thoughts, more at peace with yourself. And in that peace, you'll find a deep well of contentment that no external circumstance can shake. Another powerful tool for learning to be happy alone is gratitude. It's easy to focus on what we lack, especially when we're by ourselves. But shifting your focus to what you have can transform your experience of solitude. Start each day by listing 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things. It could be as simple as a warm cup of coffee or a beautiful sunrise. As you practice this, you'll start to notice more and more things to be grateful for. Your perspective will shift from scarcity to abundance. This gratitude practice does something remarkable. It trains your brain to focus on the positive aspects of your life. And when you're focused on the good, on the abundance in your life, being alone ceases to feel like deprivation. Instead, it becomes an opportunity to fully appreciate all that you have. Now let's talk about purpose. Many people struggle with being alone because they feel directionless, like they're just passing time until their next social interaction. But when you have a sense of purpose, a goal you're working towards, solitude becomes valuable time for progress and growth. What are your goals? What do you want to achieve in your life? Maybe it's writing a book, or learning a new language, or starting a business. Whatever it is, break it down into small, actionable steps. Then use your alone time to work on these steps. When you're working towards something meaningful, something that excites you, time alone becomes precious. It's no longer something to be endured. It's an opportunity to make progress on your dreams. And as you see yourself moving forward, as you achieve small victories, your confidence grows. You start to realize just how much you're capable of, all on your own. Let's dive deeper into the concept of self-reliance. In our interconnected world, it's easy to become overly dependent on others for our happiness and well-being. But true strength, true resilience, comes from knowing that no matter what life throws at you, you have the inner resources to handle it. Start building this self-reliance by taking on challenges alone. Cook a complicated meal for yourself. Plan a solo trip. Take on a dive project. With each challenge you overcome on your own, your confidence grows. You start to trust yourself more, to believe in your own capabilities. The self-reliance doesn't mean you never ask for help. It means you approach life from a place of strength, knowing that while support from others is wonderful, it's not essential for your happiness or success. Now, let's address a common misconception. That being happy alone means you don't need or want relationships. This couldn't be further from the truth. Learning to be happy alone actually enhances your relationships. When you're comfortable with yourself, when you're not desperately seeking companionship to fill a void, you're able to form healthier, more authentic connections. You see, when you're happy on your own, you enter relationships from a place of choice rather than need. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone to share your complete life with. This shift in perspective changes everything. It allows you to be more discerning about who you let into your life. It gives you the strength to walk away from toxic relationships because you know you'll be okay on your own. Moreover, when you're comfortable with solitude, you bring a sense of independence and self-assurance into your relationships. You're not clingy or needy. You respect your partner's need for space because you understand the value of alone time. This creates a healthier dynamic, one based on mutual respect and understanding rather than codependence. Let's talk about the power of mindfulness. In our fast-paced world, we're often so caught up in thoughts about the past or worries about the future that we miss the present moment. But it's in the present that life actually happens, and learning to be mindful can transform your experience of being alone. Start practicing mindfulness in your daily life. When you're eating, focus on the flavors and textures of your food. When you're walking, pay attention to the sensation of your feet touching the ground, the air on your skin. When you're alone, instead of reaching for distractions, try to fully engage with whatever you're doing. As you practice mindfulness, you'll start to find joy in simple moments. The world will become richer, more vibrant. You'll discover that there's so much to experience and appreciate even when you're by yourself. Solitude becomes an opportunity to fully immerse yourself in the present moment, to experience life with a depth and clarity that's often lost in the rush of social interactions. Now let's address the elephant in the room, loneliness. It's natural to feel lonely sometimes, even when you're generally happy being alone. The key is learning to manage these feelings in a healthy way. First, recognize that feeling lonely doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It's a normal human emotion. Instead of trying to suppress it or immediately distract yourself, sit with the feeling, explore it. Often, loneliness is trying to tell us something. Maybe we need to reach out to a friend, or perhaps we're neglecting a part of ourselves. Develop strategies for dealing with loneliness when it arises. Maybe it's calling a friend, engaging in a favorite hobby, or doing something kind for yourself. Remember, the goal isn't to never feel lonely. It's to have the tools to handle loneliness when it comes up. Let's talk about the importance of boundaries. When you're learning to be happy alone, it's crucial to set healthy boundaries with others. This means learning to say no to invitations or requests that don't align with your needs or values. It means carving out time for yourself and protecting that time. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. You might worry about disappointing others or missing out. But remember, by setting boundaries, you're not just taking care of yourself. You're also modeling healthy behavior for others. You're showing them that it's okay to prioritize their own needs and well-being. As you become more comfortable with boundaries, you'll find that your relationships actually improve. You'll be more present and engaged when you do spend time with others because you've had the alone time you need to recharge. Now, let's explore the concept of self-improvement. One of the greatest gifts of solitude is the opportunity it provides for personal growth. When you're alone, you have the space and time to work on yourself, to develop new skills, to expand your knowledge. Set goals for your personal growth. Maybe you want to read more books, or learn a new skill, or work on a character trait you'd like to improve. Use your alone time to work towards these goals. As you see yourself progressing, as you become a better version of yourself, your confidence grows. You start to enjoy your own company more because you're constantly evolving, constantly becoming more interesting to yourself. Remember, the person you spend the most time with in your life is yourself. By continually working on your personal growth, you ensure that you're always in good company, even when you're alone. Let's delve into the power of creativity. Many people find that their creative juices flow more freely when they're alone. Without the distractions and influences of others, you're free to explore your own unique ideas and expressions. Start nurturing your creative side. It doesn't matter if you don't consider yourself an artist in the traditional sense. Creativity can take many forms: writing, drawing, cooking, gardening, problem solving. The key is to engage in activities that allow you to express yourself and create something new. As you develop your creativity, you'll find that it becomes a source of joy and fulfillment. You'll look forward to your alone time as an opportunity to dive into your creative pursuits. And as you create, you'll develop a deeper appreciation for your own unique perspective and abilities. Now let's talk about the importance of physical self-care. Taking care of your body is a crucial part of learning to be happy alone. When you feel good physically, it's easier to enjoy your own company. Develop a self-care routine that nourishes your body and mind. This might include regular exercise, eating nutritious meals, getting enough sleep, and practicing relaxation techniques like meditation or yoga. When you're alone, it's easy to neglect these basics, but making them a priority can dramatically improve your overall well-being and your ability to enjoy solitude. Remember, treating your body with care is an act of self-love. It's a way of honoring yourself, of showing yourself that you're worthy of care and attention, even when no one else is around to see it. Let's explore the concept of self-reflection. Solitude provides the perfect opportunity for deep self-reflection, for examining your life, your choices, your values, and your goals. This kind of introspection is crucial for personal growth and for developing a strong sense of self. Set aside time regularly for self-reflection. This might involve journaling, meditation, or simply sitting quietly and thinking. Ask yourself challenging questions. What are my core values? Am I living in alignment with those values? What do I want to achieve in my life? What's holding me back? This process of self-reflection can be uncomfortable at times. You might confront aspects of yourself or your life that you're not entirely happy with. But remember, awareness is the first step towards change. By honestly examining yourself, you open the door to profound personal growth and a deeper understanding of who you are and what you want from life. Now let's talk about the joy of discovery. When you're comfortable being alone, the whole world opens up to you. You're free to explore new places, try new things, and have new experiences, all on your own terms. Start seeing your alone time as an adventure. Visit a new part of town. Try a cuisine you've never had before. Take up a hobby you've always been curious about. When you approach life with this spirit of curiosity and openness, every day becomes an opportunity for discovery and growth. Remember, some of the most profound experiences in life happen when we step out of our comfort zones. And when you're alone, you're free to push your boundaries without worrying about anyone else's preferences or limitations. Let's delve into the power of positive self-talk. The way you speak to yourself when you're alone has a profound impact on your happiness and well-being. Many of us have a tendency towards negative self-talk, criticizing ourselves or focusing on our perceived shortcomings. But with conscious effort, you can change this internal dialogue. Start paying attention to your self-talk. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, pause and challenge that thought. Is it really true? Is it helpful? Then consciously replace it with a more positive, supportive thought. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, "I'm so boring," No wonder I'm alone. Challenge that thought. Is it really true that you're boring? Or is it more accurate to say that you have interests and passions that are uniquely yours? Replace that negative thought with something like, I have a rich inner world and I'm enjoying the opportunity to explore it. This practice of positive self-talk isn't about denying reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a good friend. Over time, as you cultivate this habit of positive self-talk, you'll find that your alone time becomes more enjoyable. You'll actually look forward to spending time with yourself because you've become your own best friend and cheerleader. Now, let's explore the concept of personal rituals. Rituals can provide structure and meaning to your alone time, turning ordinary moments into something special. These don't have to be elaborate or time-consuming. Even small rituals can have a big impact on your enjoyment of solitude. Maybe it's a morning ritual of savoring a cup of coffee while watching the sunrise, or an evening ritual of writing in a gratitude journal before bed. Perhaps it's a weekly ritual of trying a new recipe or taking yourself on a solo date to a museum or park. The key is to create rituals that feel meaningful to you, that give you something to look forward to when you're alone. These rituals become anchors, grounding you in the present moment and helping you appreciate the beauty of solitude. Let's talk about the importance of connection, not just with others, but with the world around you. When you're alone, you have the opportunity to deepen your connection with nature, with your environment, with the broader world. Spend time in nature. Go for walks in the park, sit by a lake, or simply watch the clouds go by. Pay attention to the changing seasons, the patterns of birds, the growth of plants. This connection with the natural world can provide a profound sense of peace and belonging, reminding you that you're part of something much larger than yourself. Engage with your community, even when you're alone. This might mean volunteering for a cause you care about, participating in community events, or simply being a friendly presence in your neighborhood. These activities can help you feel connected and purposeful, even when you're not directly in. Now let's delve into the power of learning. One of the greatest gifts of solitude is the opportunity it provides for deep, focused learning. When you're alone, you can dive into subjects that fascinate you without distraction or interruption. Cultivate a love of learning. Read widely. Take online courses. Watch educational documentaries. Pursue knowledge for its own sake, not just for practical applications. As you expand your knowledge and understanding, you'll find that your own company becomes increasingly interesting and enjoyable. Remember, every new thing you learn adds another dimension to your personality, another topic for self-reflection, another lens through which to view the world. By continually learning and growing, you ensure that you never run out of interesting things to think about or explore, even when you're alone. Let's talk about the art of savoring. In our fast-paced world, we often rush through experiences without fully appreciating them. But when you're alone, you have the opportunity to slow down and truly savor life's moments. Practice mindful eating. Instead of scarfing down your meals while distracted by your phone or TV, take the time to really taste your food. Notice the flavors, the textures, the aromas. Even a simple meal can become a rich, enjoyable experience when you give it your full attention. Apply the same principle of savoring to other areas of your life. When you're reading a book, immerse yourself fully in the story. When you're listening to music, really hear the interplay of instruments, the nuances of the vocals. When you're taking a walk, engage all your senses. Feel the breeze on your skin. Smell the flowers. Hear the birds singing. As you develop this habit of savoring, you'll find that life becomes richer and more satisfying. You'll discover joy in simple moments that you might have previously overlooked. And you'll realize that being alone doesn't mean missing out. It means having the freedom to fully experience and appreciate life's pleasures. Now, let's explore the concept of self-expression. When we're constantly in the company of others, we often adapt our behavior to fit in or please those around us. But when you're alone, you have the freedom to be fully, authentically yourself. Embrace this freedom. Dance like no one's watching, because they're not. Sing at the top of your lungs. Wear clothes that make you feel good, regardless of what anyone else might think. Write in a journal expressing your deepest thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment. This kind of uninhibited self-expression is not just fun, it's liberating. It allows you to connect with your true self, to explore aspects of your personality that you might usually keep hidden. And as you become more comfortable expressing yourself freely, when alone, you'll likely find that you become more authentic in your interactions with others as well. Let's talk about the power of imagination. As children, we naturally engaged in imaginative play, creating whole worlds in our minds. But as adults, we often lose touch with this ability. Solitude provides the perfect opportunity to reconnect with your imagination. Let your mind wander. Daydream. Create stories in your head. Imagine possible futures for yourself. This kind of imaginative thinking isn't just entertaining, it's also incredibly valuable. It can help you solve problems creatively, envision new possibilities for your life, and develop a richer inner world. Remember, some of the greatest inventions, works of art, and scientific breakthroughs throughout history have come from people allowing their minds to wander and imagine new possibilities. By cultivating your imagination, you're not just entertaining yourself, you're also developing a powerful tool for creativity and problem solving. Now, let's delve into the concept of self-trust. When we're constantly surrounded by others, we can become overly reliant on external validation and opinions. Learning to be happy alone requires developing a strong sense of self-trust. The ability to rely on your own judgment, to make decisions for yourself, and to trust in your own capability. Start by making small decisions on your own, without seeking anyone else's input. Trust your instincts. If you make a mistake, don't berate yourself. Instead, view it as a learning opportunity. As you practice this self-trust in small ways, you'll find that it grows stronger. You'll become more confident in your ability to handle whatever life throws your way, whether you're alone or with others. Let's explore the idea of creating your own traditions. Holidays and special occasions can be particularly challenging when you're alone, especially if you're used to celebrating them with others. But who says you can't create your own unique traditions? Maybe you start a tradition of making yourself a special breakfast on your birthday. Perhaps you celebrate the changing of seasons with a solo nature walk. Or you could create an annual personal retreat where you take a day or two to reflect on the past year and set intentions for the year ahead. These personal traditions give you something to look forward to and help mark the passage of time in a meaningful way. They remind you that you don't need others to make occasions special. You can create magic and meaning for yourself. Now, let's talk about the importance of self-forgiveness. We all make mistakes, have regrets, or fall short of our own expectations at times. When we're alone, it's easy for these thoughts to spiral, leading to self-criticism and negativity. Learning to forgive yourself is crucial for maintaining happiness and peace. When you're alone, practice self-forgiveness as you would forgive a friend. Acknowledge your mistakes or shortcomings, but don't dwell on them. Instead, focus on what you've learned and how you can do better in the future. Remember, making mistakes doesn't make you a failure. It makes you human. And every mistake is an opportunity for growth and learning. Let's delve into the power of visualization. This technique can be particularly powerful when you're alone, helping you stay motivated and positive. Spend time each day visualizing your ideal future. See yourself achieving your goals, living the life you want to live. Imagine how it feels, what it looks like, what you're doing. This practice of visualization serves several purposes. It helps clarify what you truly want in life. It keeps you motivated and focused on your goals. And it reminds you that your current solitude is not an end state, but a part of your journey towards the future you desire. Now, let's talk about the joy of spontaneity. When we're always coordinating with others, it can be hard to be spontaneous. But when you're alone, you have the freedom to follow your whims and impulses. Wake up one morning and decide to take a day trip to a nearby town you've never visited. Change up your routine on a whim. Try something new just because it catches your interest in the moment. This kind of spontaneity keeps life exciting and helps you stay open to new experiences and opportunities. Let's explore the concept of self-sufficiency. In our interconnected world, it's easy to become overly dependent on others for our needs and wants. But there's a deep satisfaction that comes from being able to take care of yourself, from knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way. Develop practical skills that increase your self-sufficiency. Learn basic home repairs, how to cook nutritious meals for yourself, how to manage your finances. Not only will these skills serve you well practically, but they'll also boost your confidence and sense of independence. Now let's talk about the power of silence. In our noisy world, we're rarely truly silent. There's always background noise, music, TV, or the chatter of others. But in solitude, you have the opportunity to experience true silence, and this can be incredibly powerful. Practice sitting in silence for a few minutes each day. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Your mind might race, or you might feel an urge to fill the silence with noise. But as you practice, you'll start to find peace in the silence. You'll discover that in the absence of external noise, you can hear your own thoughts more clearly. You might have insights or ideas that were previously drowned out by the constant noise of daily life. Let's delve into the concept of self-acceptance. Often, our discomfort with being alone stems from a lack of self-acceptance. We're afraid to be alone with ourselves because we're not fully comfortable with who we are. Practice accepting yourself as you are right now. This doesn't mean you stop trying to grow or improve. It means you acknowledge your current reality without judgment. Accept your strengths and your weaknesses, your successes and your failures, your joys and your sorrows. As you develop this self-acceptance, you'll find that being alone becomes much more comfortable and enjoyable. Now, let's talk about the importance of patience. Learning to be happy alone is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. There will be times when you struggle, when you feel lonely or uncertain. Be patient with yourself. Remember, every moment you spend alone is an opportunity for growth, for self-discovery, for developing your ability to find happiness within yourself. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. And when you have setbacks, be gentle with yourself. This journey of learning to be happy alone is just that, a journey. Enjoy the process knowing that with each step, you're becoming stronger, more self-reliant, and more at peace with yourself. In conclusion, learning to be happy alone is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. It's the foundation of true independence, of unshakable self-confidence, of a rich and fulfilling life. When you're comfortable and content in your own company, you're free. Free to pursue your dreams without waiting for anyone else's approval or participation. Free to live life on your own terms. Free to form relationships from a place of choice rather than need. Remember, being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means having the space to hear your own thoughts, to connect with your true self, to grow and evolve at your own pace. It means having the freedom to create the life you want, unencumbered by others' expectations or limitations. So embrace your solitude. See it not as something to be endured, but as a gift to be cherished. Use this time to get to know yourself, to pursue your passions, to develop your strengths, to work on your weaknesses. Use it to become the best version of yourself. And as you do, you'll discover a profound truth, that the relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship of your life. When that relationship is strong, when you truly enjoy your own company, you'll never be alone. So go forth with confidence, embrace your solitude, and discover the deep, lasting happiness that comes from truly being at peace with yourself. Talent is waiting for you. Not the you that you think others want you to be, but the authentic, unique, amazing you that emerges when you learn to be truly happy alone. Your journey starts now. Embrace it, enjoy it, and watch as it transforms your life in ways you never imagined possible. Welcome to a journey of transformation, a journey towards the most empowering destination, self-reliance. In our lives, we often stand at crossroads where the easy path often leads us to depend on others, be it in decision-making emotional support, or even in our daily tasks. But today, let us explore a path less traveled, yet immensely rewarding, the path of self-reliance. Self-reliance is not just a virtue, it's a way of life. It's about trusting in your own abilities, making decisions that align with your values, and taking charge of your life's direction. It's about understanding that while others can guide us or offer support, the true power to change our lives lies within us. In the words of a wise philosopher, the greatest gift you can give somebody is the space to be his or herself without the threat of you leaving. This concept extends to ourselves as well, giving ourselves the space to grow, to make mistakes, and to learn from them without relying excessively on others. As we embark on this discussion, I encourage you to reflect on your own life. Consider the times you've leaned on others and ask yourself, could I have taken a different path? Could I have used those moments to strengthen my own resolve and capabilities? Today, we will explore how shifting from dependency to self-reliance not only enhances our personal growth, but also leads us to a life of fulfillment and unprecedented success. Let us delve into this empowering journey together. In our pursuit of success and fulfillment, we often find ourselves leaning on others for advice, for support, for decisions. It seems natural, doesn't it, to seek guidance from those around us. However, there's a fine line between seeking guidance and becoming dependent. Dependency, while it may offer comfort, is a treacherous path that can subtly erode our own strength and capability. Imagine a young sapling constantly shielded by an older, sturdier tree. While the older tree offers protection, the sapling never really feels the strength of the wind. It doesn't learn to stand firm and grow its roots deep into the earth. The moment the older tree is gone, the sapling, unaccustomed to the harshness of the environment, struggles to survive. Similarly, when we depend too much on others, we deprive ourselves of the experiences that foster growth and resilience. Consider this: every time we let someone else make decisions for us, we miss an opportunity to learn from our own choices. Whether those choices lead to success or failure, each one is a precious lesson in the school of life. Dependency breeds a cycle of reliance that can be hard to break. It's like sitting in the passenger seat of a car, going wherever the driver takes you, without ever learning to take the wheel yourself. Let's not forget, dependency also affects our self-esteem. It subtly whispers that we are not capable enough, not strong enough, or not wise enough to handle our own affairs. This can lead to a lack of confidence, which further perpetuates the cycle of dependency. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy where the less we trust in our abilities, the more we depend on others, and the less we end up believing in ourselves. Moreover, when we're dependent on others, we're at the mercy of their whims, their decisions, and their interpretations of what's best for us. This can lead us down a path that might not align with our own values or aspirations. We become actors playing a role in someone else's story, rather than the authors of our own lives. But it's not just about losing control over our lives. Dependency can strain relationships too. When we lean too heavily on others, we may unintentionally become a burden, and this can lead to resentment over time. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and independence, not dependency. In conclusion, while it's important to have support and guidance, we must be wary of the pitfalls of dependency. It's a subtle trap that can stifle our personal growth, diminish our self-esteem, and lead us away from our true path. The key is to seek advice, but not at the expense of our own decision-making power, to lean on others but not lose our own balance, to remember that the ultimate strength lies within us waiting to be harnessed, embracing change as a catalyst for growth. In our exploration of self-reliance and independence, an essential element we must consider is the role of change. Change, often feared and resisted, is in fact a powerful catalyst for growth and self-discovery. It is in the crucible of change that our true strength and resilience are forged. Consider for a moment the nature of life itself. It is a series of changes, a continuous flow of evolving circumstances. To resist change is like trying to hold back the tide with your hands. Not only is it futile, but it also prevents you from experiencing the fullness of life. Embracing change, therefore, is not just a strategy. It's a necessity for those seeking to cultivate self-reliance. One of the greatest fears we face with change is the fear of failure. What if things don't work out? What if we make a mistake? But let me share a different perspective. What if failure is not the opposite of success, but a part of it? Every significant achievement in history was built on a foundation of past failures. These failures are invaluable lessons, guiding us towards our goals with greater wisdom and experience. When you embrace change and accept the risk of failure, you open yourself to a world of possibilities. Change also challenges our comfort zones. It pushes us to explore new horizons, to learn new skills, and to adapt to new environments. This is where growth happens. Think of a seed. It must break through its shell and reach out into the unknown soil to grow. Similarly, we must break out of our comfort zones to reach our full potential. Embracing change means embracing growth. In the realm of personal relationships, change can be particularly challenging. As we evolve and grow, our relationships might need to evolve. This doesn't mean abandoning old relationships, but rather understanding that as we become more self-reliant, our relationships can become healthier and more balanced. We learn to offer support without becoming enablers, to receive help without becoming dependent. This balance is crucial in fostering relationships that are nurturing and empowering. Financially, embracing change often means taking calculated risks. It might mean investing in your education, starting a business, or changing your career path. While these decisions can be daunting, they are often necessary steps towards financial independence and stability. Remember, the greatest financial investments you can make are in yourself and your capabilities. Moreover, embracing change is about being proactive rather than reactive. It's about making things happen, not just letting them happen to you. It's about setting the sails of your ship to catch the winds of change, steering your course rather than being adrift. When you take control of change, you take control of your destiny. However, embracing change is not just about taking action. It's also about cultivating a mindset of openness and flexibility. It's about letting go of rigid expectations and embracing the journey with curiosity and optimism. It's understanding that the path to our goals may not be linear, but it's within this non-linearity that we often find our greatest lessons and joy. In conclusion, embracing change as a catalyst for growth is a fundamental aspect of developing self-reliance and independence. It's about seeing change not as a threat, but as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become the best version of ourselves. As we journey through life, let us embrace change with open arms, with a spirit of adventure, and with the confidence that it is leading us towards a richer, more fulfilling life. In the tapestry of history, there are countless stories of individuals who embraced self-reliance, carving their names into the annals of time, not because they were born great, but because they made themselves so. These stories are not just tales of the past. They are beacons guiding us towards the power of self-reliance. Take, for example, the story of a young inventor born in a humble village without access to the grand libraries and institutions of learning. This young man, with a burning curiosity and an unyielding spirit, turned his modest home into a laboratory of dreams. He relied not on the expertise of others, but on his own experiments, his own failures and successes. Through his self-taught knowledge, he brought forth inventions that changed the course of history. This inventor's journey reminds us that knowledge and wisdom are not just inherited or given. They are often self-crafted. Or consider the story of a woman who rose in a time when the society around her saw women as little more than ornaments or caretakers. She, however, saw herself as a leader and innovator, a visionary. With no mentors or guides to lead her, she relied on her own intellect, her own resolve. She built a business empire that not only broke gender barriers, but also reshaped an industry. Her story is a testament to the fact that the barriers society places before us are often no match for the strength that lies within us. There's also the tale of a young writer who, in the face of rejection after rejection, never gave up on his dream. He didn't wait for a publisher to validate his work. He believed in the power of his words. His self-reliance led him to publish his work on his own, eventually gaining recognition and becoming one of the most celebrated authors of his time. His journey teaches us that approval from others is not a prerequisite for success. Belief in oneself is. These stories and countless others like them show us that self-reliance is not just a principle. It's a powerful force. It's about believing in your ability to learn, to grow, to overcome. It's about understanding that while the world may offer tools and opportunities, the true architect of your destiny is you. In embracing self-reliance, these historical figures did not just achieve their goals. They redefined what was possible. They remind us that the most powerful resource we have is not external, it's within us. It's the resilience of the human spirit, the yielding drive to learn, to adapt, and to triumph. The power of personal responsibility in the grand theater of life, where each of us plays a unique role. There's a concept that stands as a cornerstone of success and fulfillment: personal responsibility. It's a powerful principle, often overlooked, yet it holds the key to unlocking our greatest potential. Personal responsibility is about acknowledging that we are the architects of our own destiny. It's the realization that our choices, our actions, and even our thoughts shape the path we walk. When we embrace personal responsibility, we no longer look outside for excuses or blame. Instead, we look within for solutions and strength. Consider the story of a young athlete whose early life was marked by challenges and setbacks. Growing up, he faced more defeats than victories, more criticism than praise. Yet instead of blaming his circumstances, his coaches, or his teammates, he took personal responsibility. He understood that his future in sports was not determined by external factors, but by his own dedication and effort. Day after day, he trained not just his body, but his mind as well, to focus on improvement, to learn from each failure. His journey of self-improvement led him not only to championships, but also to becoming a symbol of perseverance and determination. Or reflect upon the life of a visionary entrepreneur who started with nothing but a dream. In her journey, there were numerous obstacles, financial constraints, skepticism from others, and countless failures. Yet she never wavered in her resolve. She took responsibility for her dream, understanding that its realization depended solely on her efforts. Her unwavering commitment turned a small idea into a revolutionary business, inspiring millions. These stories illustrate that when we take personal responsibility, we empower ourselves. We transform from being passive observers of our lives to active participants. We begin to see challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities to learn, grow, and prove our mettle. Personal responsibility also teaches us to find our inner strength. It reminds us that while we can't control every aspect of our lives, we can control how we respond to them. We can choose to respond with resilience, with optimism, and with an unyielding spirit. In embracing personal responsibility, we also embrace freedom, the freedom to create, to change, to influence. It liberates us from the shackles of dependency and excuses. It's a declaration that our fate is in our hands, that our dreams are achievable, and that our efforts matter. In conclusion, the power of personal responsibility is not just in accepting our role in our successes and failures. It's in recognizing that this very acceptance is the first step towards a life of achievement and fulfillment. It's a journey of empowerment where each step, each decision, brings us closer to realizing our true potential. In this journey we call life, one of the most empowering quests we undertake is the development of self-reliance. It's a path that requires not just thought, but action. Not just intention, but practice. Let's explore some practical strategies that can guide us in cultivating this invaluable trait. Firstly, embracing self-education is paramount. The world is a vast reservoir of knowledge, and the pursuit of learning is a pursuit of self-reliance. It's not just about formal education, but about a continuous, lifelong quest for knowledge. Read books, listen to podcasts, engage in conversations that challenge your thinking. The more you know, the more equipped you are to make informed decisions and trust your own judgment. Another key strategy is to practice decision-making. Every day, we're faced with decisions, some trivial, some significant. Seize these moments as opportunities to trust your instincts and make choices independently. Start with small decisions. What to eat for breakfast, how to organize your day, and gradually take on more significant ones. Each decision strengthens your confidence in your own judgment. Setting personal goals is also crucial. These goals act as beacons, guiding your journey of self-reliance. They provide a sense of direction and purpose. When you set goals, you take responsibility for your future. You shift from a passive receiver of life's whims to an active pursuer of your own destiny. Remember to make these goals specific, measurable, and achievable. As you reach each milestone, you'll find your self-reliance growing. Learning to enjoy your own company is another vital aspect. In solitude, you discover your true self, your passions, and your inner voice. Spend time alone. Engage in activities that you enjoy and reflect on your experiences and beliefs. This self-reflection is a cornerstone of self-reliance as it helps you understand your own values and desires. Furthermore, cultivating resilience is essential. The road to self-reliance is paved with challenges and setbacks. Instead of viewing these as failures, see them as lessons. Resilience is not about avoiding failure. It's about learning to bounce back, to adapt, and to persevere. Each challenge you overcome is a step towards greater self-reliance. Lastly, remember to celebrate your successes, no matter how small. Acknowledging your achievements reinforces your belief in your abilities. It's a reminder that you are capable, competent, and on the right path. In summary, developing self-reliance is a journey of embracing knowledge, practicing decision-making, setting personal goals, enjoying solitude, cultivating resilience, and celebrating your achievement. It's about trusting in your abilities and taking control of your life. As you implement these strategies, you'll find yourself moving steadily towards a life of independence and self-assuredness. In our quest for self-reliance and independence, it's inevitable that we'll encounter challenges. These hurdles, though daunting, are not insurmountable. They are, in fact, vital parts of the journey, teaching us resilience, strength, and the true value of our ambition. One of the first challenges many of us face is the fear of the unknown. Stepping out of our comfort zones, making decisions without a safety net, can be terrifying. But remember, growth and comfort seldom ride the same horse. Embrace the unknown as an adventure, a chance to learn and to grow. Every great explorer, every pioneer has faced this fear. They overcame it not by eradicating fear, but by learning to move forward despite it. Another common obstacle is the temptation to revert to old habits of dependency. It's easy to fall back on others when the going gets tough. But here's where you need to remember why you started this journey. Remind yourself of your goals, your dreams, and your potential. When you feel the urge to lean on someone else, pause and ask yourself, is this truly helping me grow? Independence is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Criticism and skepticism from others can also be challenging. When you choose a path of self-reliance, not everyone will understand or support your decision. Some might doubt your abilities, question your choices. It's important to differentiate between constructive feedback and mere negativity. Listen, reflect, but ultimately trust your own judgment. Remember, the people who made history were not those who followed the crowd, but those who dared to listen to their own hearts and minds. Financial constraints often pose a significant challenge as well. Building independence often means taking financial risks or making sacrifices. This is where prudent planning and resourcefulness come into play. Budget wisely, invest in your skills, and remember that some of the most successful ventures started with limited resources. Your creativity and determination are your greatest assets. Finally, the challenge of maintaining persistence and motivation cannot be overlooked. There will be days when your goals seem too far, your efforts futile. In these moments, it's crucial to remind yourself of your progress, no matter how small. Celebrate your victories, learn from your setbacks, and keep your eyes on the prize. The road to independence is a marathon, not a sprint. In conclusion, the path to independence is lined with challenges, but each challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. Face these challenges with courage, with determination, and with the knowledge that they are but stepping stones on your journey to a life of self-reliance and independence. I always thought, what is the key element that makes one stand out from the average? It lingered in my mind, danced on the edges of my thoughts, and challenged the very essence of what I believed success entailed. This question isn't just a matter of curiosity. It's a quest to uncover a truth that can significantly alter the course of our lives. Today, let's embark on a journey to discover what truly distinguishes the exceptional from the sea of mediocrity. As we delve into this exploration, I invite you to ponder your own life, your achievements, and, more importantly, the moments you felt yourself rise above the confines of the average. What drove those moments? Was it sheer luck? A spontaneous burst of effort, or something deeper, something ingrained in the very fabric of your being? You see, standing out from the average isn't about grandiose achievements that the world applauds. It's about the subtle shifts, the small decisions, and the disciplines that become the threads weaving the tapestry of an extraordinary life. That's the distinction between the average and the exceptional is often misunderstood, wrapped in the glamour of outward success. Yet it's rooted in the quiet, consistent application of a few principles that guide the way we live our lives. Let me share a story that illuminates this concept. It's about a teacher and his student, a tale that underscores the essence of transcending the average. This teacher, known for his wisdom and simplicity, was approached by a student eager to surpass the bounds of mediocrity. The student asked, "Teacher, what must I do to surpass the average, to truly stand out?" The teacher, with a gentle smile, replied, "Follow me." They walked through the bustling marketplace, the cacophony of life pulsating around them, and into the serenity of a garden, lush and vibrant. The teacher paused and picked up a seemingly ordinary stone, placing it in the student's hand. "To stand out," he began, "you must be like this stone, not for its commonness, but for its potential to become a masterpiece in the hands of a skilled sculptor. Your actions, your discipline, and your commitment to growth are the tools of the sculptor. The masterpiece is the life you build, one that stands out not just for its achievements, but for its character, resilience, and the ability to inspire others." This story, simple yet profound, encapsulates the journey from the average to the exceptional. It's not about doing what everyone else is doing, a bit better or a bit faster. No, it's about daring to be different, to embrace the disciplines that others neglect, to commit to a path of constant growth and learning. To stand out from the average, you must first cultivate a mindset that welcomes challenges as opportunities for growth. You see, the average mind seeks comfort, shies away from discomfort, and settles for the known. The exceptional mind, however, thrives on challenge, sees failure as a stepping stone, and constantly seeks out the unknown for the possibilities it holds. Now, let's talk about this. Have you ever found yourself lounging comfortably on your sofa? Perhaps a little too comfortably? Maybe in those moments, the thought of stepping outside, tackling a new project, or even pursuing a dream flickered across your mind, only to be dismissed for the comfort of the moment. This, my friends, is a familiar crossroads we all encounter. The allure of comfort versus the beckoning of our potential. Let's talk about comfort first. Comfort is like a familiar friend, one that doesn't ask too much of us and always makes us feel at ease. But here's a thought-provoking question. When you think back on your life, the moments that truly stand out, were they born from comfort or from when you stretched beyond it? Now, don't get me wrong, comfort has its place. It's where we rest, recharge, and gather our thoughts. However, comfort becomes a cunning adversary when it convinces us to stay put, to not risk, to not grow. It whispers tales of contentment in doing just enough to get by, painting the unknown with brushes of fear and doubt. It's comfortable to do what we've always done, think what we've always thought. But let me ask you, where has that comfort brought you? Is it to the doorstep of your dreams, or has it subtly escorted you to the realm of the average? Now, let's pivot our thoughts to potential, that vibrant, pulsating promise within each of us. Unlike comfort, potential is a challenging friend. It nudges us, provokes us, and sometimes even pushes us into the deep end to see if potential is not content with yesterday's achievements. It's always looking to tomorrow. Consider this. Within each person here today lies an extraordinary potential for achievement, for joy, for creating a life that's not just lived, but celebrated. Yet so often, this potential remains just that potential, unexpressed, untouched, like a book that's never opened. Why? Because tapping into that potential requires us to leave the comfort of the known and venture into the uncertain, to trade the familiar for the possibility of failure, but also for the promise of success. So here's another question to ponder. Where do you see yourself on the spectrum between comfort and potential? Are you nestling in the cozy blankets of the known, or are you out in the field, planting seeds for a harvest you've yet to see? You see, the journey to tapping into our potential starts with a single step. A step of faith, a step of courage, a step away from the average. It doesn't demand that you leap into the abyss without looking. It simply asks that you take one step, then another, moving closer to the person you were meant to be. Let me share a little story. There's once a man who dreamed of being a great writer. He lived in a small town, working a job that paid the bills but didn't light up his soul. Every evening, he would sit in his comfortable chair and tell himself, tomorrow, I'll start writing. But tomorrow turned into next week, next month, and then years. One day, he realized that the perfect moment he was waiting for, that moment of absolute comfort and readiness, would never come. It was a myth. He had to create it. And so he started writing. His first attempts were far from masterpieces. But with each word, each sentence, he grew. His comfort zone expanded, and so did his potential. Today, we know this man as one of the greatest authors of his name? Well, his name isn't important. What's important is the lesson he learns. Great achievements are often just beyond the edge of our comfort zone. This story isn't unique. It's the story of every person who dared to reach beyond their grasp, to challenge the seductive whisper of comfort, and to embrace their potential. So, as we sit here today, I challenge you. Think about that one thing you've always wanted to do, that dream that's been gathering dust in the corner of your mind. What's one step you can take today, however small, towards that dream? How can you stretch beyond the comfortable to touch the hem of your potential? Remember, standing out from the average isn't about grand gestures or monumental achievements. It's about the daily choice to push a little further, to grow a bit more, to challenge the status quo of your life. In our quest to stand out from the average, to not just tread water, but to swim against the current and reach shores unseen, it's essential we turn our gaze towards those who've charted these waters before us. Let's talk about individuals from various walks of life who, through sheer dedication, resilience, and an unwavering belief in their unique talents, transformed their average into excellence. Consider the world of literature, where words are the brush and imagination the canvas. There was a writer initially rejected by 12 publishing houses who believed in the magic of her story about a boy wizard. In cafes, she pinned down her visions, undeterred by her circumstances as a single mother on welfare. J.K. Rowling, with her Harry Potter series, not only transformed her life but enchanted the world, proving that faith in one's creativity and perseverance can indeed turn rags to riches, obscurity to renown. In the realm of sports, reflect on the early career of Michael Jordan, a name synonymous with basketball excellence. Did you know he was cut from his high school basketball team? Yet, instead of succumbing to defeat, Jordan used this rejection as fuel to work harder, practice more, and solidify his resolve. His career, marked by 6 NBA championships and numerous accolades, stands as a testament to turning setbacks into setups for comebacks. And what about the tech world? A college dropout who envisioned a world where personal computing was accessible to everyone. Bill Gates, through his determination and innovative mindset, co-founded Microsoft, fundamentally changing the tech landscape. Its journey from a college dorm room to becoming a key figure in the digital revolution underscores the power of embracing one's vision and the relentless pursuit of that vision, regardless of the traditional path one is expected to follow. Now, I ask you to take a moment. Think of a time in your life when you achieved something you initially thought was out of reach. Perhaps it was a project at work, a personal goal, or even a small daily task that seemed insurmountable. What drove you to succeed? Was it determination, fear of failure, or the sweet whisper of potential urging you to press on? These stories, these moments of transformation from average to exceptional, share a common thread. The decision to embrace one's unique talents and dedicate oneself to the path of excellence. It wasn't mere talent that set these individuals apart. It was their response to failure, their commitment to growth, and their courage to persist against all. Each of us carries within an untapped reservoir of potential, a seed of greatness waiting to be nurtured. The difference between those who stand out and those who remain within the confines of the average is not the presence of talent, but the willingness to act upon it, to mold and refine it through dedication and hard work. So, as we stand here today reflecting on our paths and the vast seas of potential that lie before us, let's make a pledge. Let's vow not to be shackled by the fear of failure, not to be dissuaded by the comfort of the known, but to forge ahead with determination, to carve our own paths of excellence. Let's commit to embracing our unique talents, to learning from our setbacks, and to transforming our average into our extraordinary. In doing so, we not only elevate ourselves, but inspire those around us to embark on their own journeys of self-discovery and excellence. Our stories, like those before us, can become beacons of hope and exemplars of what it means to truly stand out from the average. As we move forward, remember, excellence is not a distant shore, but a journey, marked by the small steps we take each day towards unleashing our potential. Let's not wait for the perfect moment. Let's create it through our actions, our beliefs, and our unwavering commitment to becoming the best versions of ourselves. In this quest, let us be fearless, for it is in the act of striving towards our potential that we truly stand out from the average. In our pursuit to stand out, to truly make a mark in this vast world, it often boils down to the seemingly insignificant choices we make daily. These choices, these habits, are the building blocks of a life that is not just lived, but one that shines, one that stands out from the average. Now I want you to consider for a moment, what's one habit you could start today that might change the course of your tomorrow? The power of daily habits is profound. It's the small actions, repeated day in and day out, that weave the tapestry of our lives. Think about it. The difference between someone who excels and someone who remains stuck in the realm of the average often lies not in talent or opportunity, but in the habits they cultivate. So, how do we go about forming habits that align with our personal and professional goals? It starts with intention. You have to be clear about what you want to achieve and why. This clarity will be your guide, helping you to sift through the myriad of daily decisions and select those that serve your larger purpose. Let's talk practical advice for a moment. To form a new habit, start small. Don't overwhelm yourself with a complete overhaul of your daily routine. Instead, focus on one small change you can make. It could be as simple as waking up 10 minutes earlier to read, write, or reflect. Or perhaps dedicating a few minutes each day to learning a new skill relevant to your professional goals. Consistency is key. The magic of habit formation doesn't lie in making grand gestures, but in the consistency of small efforts. It's the daily repetition that ingrains these habits into the fabric of our lives, turning actions into reflexes that propel us towards our goals. But let's not forget the importance of patience and forgiveness. Forming new habits takes time, and there will be days when we falter. On those days, it's crucial to practice self-forgiveness. Acknowledge the slip, learn from it, and move forward. Remember, it's not the occasional missed day that defines our journey. It's our ability to get back on track that truly shapes our destiny. Now to our earlier question. What's one habit you could start today that might change the course of your tomorrow? Imagine the impact of consistently dedicating time to hone your craft, to expand your knowledge, or to nurture your well-being. Over time, these daily investments accumulate, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. Let me share a story that brings this concept to life. There was once a young artist who dreamt of painting masterpieces that would be admired for generations. However, faced with the demands of daily life, he struggled to find time for his art. One day, he made a simple decision to paint for at least 1 hour every day, no matter what. This commitment, though small at first, became the cornerstone of his life. Years later, his paintings hang in galleries around the world, a testament to the power of daily habits. This story illustrates a profound truth. The life we dream of, the life that stands out from the average, is built one day at a time, one habit at a time. So, as we move forward, let us ask ourselves what small actions we can take today, what habits we can begin to form that will steer us towards the extraordinary. Remember, every great achievement starts with the decision to try, to take that first step, however small it may be. In this journey we call life, challenges and setbacks are not just possibilities. They are inevitabilities. Standing out from the average doesn't mean walking a path devoid of obstacles, but rather learning to navigate them with resilience and grace. It's about understanding that every challenge carries within it the seeds of growth and transformation. Let me pose a reflective question to you. How can your biggest challenge become the source of your greatest strength? This isn't just philosophical musing. It's a practical inquiry into the very nature of personal development and achievement. Consider the story of a young athlete who, early in her career, faced a debilitating injury. It was the kind of setback that could easily end a promising journey before it truly began. Yet, instead of succumbing to despair, she chose to view her recovery period as an opportunity. She immersed herself in the study of her sport, refining her mental game and deepening her understanding of strategy. By the time she returned to the field, She was not only physically healed, but had also gained a competitive edge that set her apart from her peers. Her biggest challenge had indeed become her greatest strength. This story exemplifies a truth that many have found through their own experiences. Adversity is a crucible that can forge in us qualities we might never have developed otherwise: resilience, perseverance, and a profound depth of character. These qualities become the bedrock upon which we build a life that stands out from the average. So how do we begin to transform our challenges into our strengths? It starts with a shift in perspective. Instead of viewing obstacles as barriers to our progress, we can see them as opportunities to learn, grow, and become stronger. This doesn't mean pretending that the challenge isn't difficult or painful. It means acknowledging the struggle while also recognizing the potential for growth it presents. Another key component in overcoming adversity is the cultivation of resilience. Resilience isn't about never feeling down or defeated. It's about the ability to bounce back, to recover from setbacks, and to continue moving forward with even greater determination. Developing resilience often involves building a support network of friends, family, and mentors who can provide encouragement and perspective when we're too close to our own challenges to see the way through. Let's also talk about the power of reflection and turning adversity into strength by taking the time to reflect on our challenges, to really dig into what they're teaching us about ourselves, our values, and our goals. We can extract wisdom that serves us long after the specific challenge has passed. This process of reflection and learning ensures that we don't just get through our challenges. We grow through them. Now, I want you to think about a challenge you're facing or have faced in the past. Consider how it has shaped you, what you've learned from it, and how it has or could become a source of strength for you. Reflect on this, not just as an exercise, but as a step towards integrating those lessons into your path to standing out from the average. In sharing stories of resilience and overcoming adversity, we find not just inspiration, but also practical lessons on the enduring power of the human spirit. These stories remind us that standing out from the average isn't about leading a charmed life free from difficulty, but about embracing our challenges, learning from them, and using them as stepping stones on our journey to excellence. Surrounding oneself with mentors and a supportive community is akin to planting oneself in fertile soil. It's about placing yourself where you can grow, thrive, and bloom into your fullest potential. This, my friends, is not just beneficial. It's essential for anyone striving to stand out from the average. Let's delve into the importance of this nurturing environment. Imagine for a moment a seed with all the potential to become a towering tree lying on a concrete sidewalk without the right soil, without water, and without the care of those who understand its potential. It remains just that, a seed. But when that seed finds its way into fertile ground with gardeners who nurture it, the possibilities become limitless. Mentors act as these gardeners in our lives. They've walked the path before us, faced the storms, and learned how to not only survive, but to flourish. Through their guidance, we gain insights that can significantly shorten our learning curve and help us navigate our own journeys more effectively. They provide wisdom that comes only with experience, offering a lighthouse for us in times of uncertainty. Consider the story of a young entrepreneur brimming with ideas and ambition, but facing the dawning world of business. When paired with a mentor who had carved a path through that very world, the entrepreneur learned not only the strategies of business, but the invaluable lessons of perseverance, adaptability, and the importance of building meaningful relationships. This mentorship didn't just influence their success. It transformed their approach to life and business, propelling them from the realm of the average to the extraordinary. Now I invite you to think, who in your life inspires you to be your best self? And how can you foster those relationships? These individuals, be they formal mentors, colleagues, friends, or family members, play a pivotal role in our journey towards excellence. They challenge us, believe in us, and push us to exceed our own expectations. But how do we cultivate these vital relationships? It starts with being open to learning and being proactive in seeking guidance. It requires humility to acknowledge that we don't have all the answers and the courage to reach out and ask for help. Fostering these relationships means showing gratitude, giving back, and when the time comes, passing on what we've learned to others on their paths. Beyond individual mentors, the broader community around us provides a network of support, inspiration, and accountability. Engaging with like-minded individuals, those who share our aspirations and values, creates a dynamic environment that encourages growth and excellence. Whether it's joining professional groups, attending workshops, or participating in online forums, immersing ourselves in communities that align with our goals amplifies our efforts to stand out. Personal experiences and countless success stories underline the transformative impact of mentorship and community. These relationships and networks not only inspire us, but also challenge us to expand our horizons, to dream bigger, and to push beyond the boundaries of the average. Embracing lifelong learning is not just about adding more facts to your repository of knowledge or ticking off skills from a list. It's about a continuous journey of growth, curiosity, and evolution that marks the difference between the average and the exceptional. This relentless pursuit of knowledge and experiences is what sets the trailblazers apart from the followers. It's about understanding that the world is a vast ocean of wisdom, and to stand out, one must be willing to dive into its depths continuously. Now let's consider how integrating learning into our daily lives can transform the mundane into a journey of discovery and excellence. Imagine waking up each day with the intention to learn something new, to see each experience as an opportunity to grow. This could be as simple as reading a book on a topic outside your comfort zone, taking a different route to work to explore a new area, or even striking up a conversation with someone from a different background or profession. But it's also important to be structured in our approach to learning. Setting aside dedicated time for this purpose is crucial. It might mean waking up an hour earlier to read, dedicating part of your weekend to a new hobby or course, or using your commute time to listen to educational podcasts. The key is to make learning a non-negotiable part of your daily routine, as integral as eating or sleeping. Interactive elements play a vital role in this learning journey. Engaging with others, sharing insights, and discussing new ideas not only deepen your understanding, but also open doors to perspectives you might not have considered. Workshops, seminars, and online courses offer platforms for such interactions, creating communities of learners who support and challenge each other. Now, I challenge you with a question. What's one area you're curious about? And how can you explore it further? This isn't just about professional development. It's about personal growth, about expanding the horizons of your world in ways you've never imagined. Whether it's learning a new language, understanding more about astrophysics, or exploring ancient history, the point is to ignite a spark of curiosity that fuels your journey towards standing out. Let me share a story that beautifully illustrates the power of embracing lifelong learning. There was once a person, much like anyone here, who found themselves stuck in the rut of daily life, feeling as though the days were blending into one monotonous loop. One day they stumbled upon an old guitar, gathering dust in the attic. Something sparked within them, a curiosity, a desire to learn. Day by day, chord by chord, they began to teach themselves to play. This new venture not only brought them joy, but also instilled a sense of discipline, patience, and creativity. It transformed their outlook on life, proving that it's never too late to learn something new, to add another layer to your being. This story is a testament to the transformative power of learning. It's a reminder that standing out from the average is not just about professional accolades or achievements. It's about enriching your life with new experiences, knowledge, and skills that bring you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of endless possibility. Lifelong learning is about staying curious, staying hungry for more, and understanding that every day brings with it a chance to learn something that could change your life, or maybe even the world, for the better. It's about seeing life as an endless classroom where the lessons never cease and the learning never stops.